All right, welcome to the miracle work today. So the real say, Course in Miracles class today. Happy to meet you here, and it's great we can continue with the lesson of the day and other input from A Course in Miracles. And so today, chapter 13 popped up in my when I read the lesson, the daily lesson. Beyond this world is a world I want. Chapter 13 came up, which is lesson 13 is I'll read the title to you. From Perception to Knowledge, I think it is. So this is great because we deal here with apparently with worlds, with different worlds. One world outside, one world inside. What is the real world? And so that's a bit where we head off today. It was like, this is what we're looking at. So how do you know the difference? What is the experience of it? It's like all this is not directly clear, because even though you can accept an idea of another world within, it seems like you still have to deal with a world that appears to be outside. So how can this ever come together? And these kind of considerations you can have, and are in fact you have to continuously decide too. Like where am I? This is a question. Like, where am I? Am I placing myself in a world with objects, with time and space, with all this stuff that we made up, or the other way around? Am I living in a world, like, am I actually living in a world that has no buildings, has no, say, objects, but is an extension of what comes through me as my own experience? See, that already gets a bit blurry, maybe, if I say it like this. So it is good to read the lesson. We're probably going to do that too. Like, I want to do everything at the same time, and that's not possible. So maybe I should even say slow down more even. It's like, wait a minute, what are we dealing with here? Let's get that in the right place first. So it's like the whole idea of a world, as you see it, the whole idea of a world is based on something that you perceive with your eyes. It's like it tells you. You hear it with your ears, like you see it with your eyes, and you can feel it with your hands. That appears to be your world. And so that part is a part of your identity. It's like literally you're sitting here in a chair, you're listening with your ears, you're watching me with your eyes. And how would that not be so? It's like, otherwise, why is this occurring? So, slowing down even more, you can say like, well, this is a temporary moment of instruction, if you want, or this is a temporary moment of you recognizing the truth, actually coming to the place where you can experience that. And that's not a place that is related to your perception. So you can say like, the only thing that really occurs is you're being set free of perception, like you're being set free of something that you perceive based on old ideas, on ideas that you have learned, like this is a car, this is a chair, this is a world, these are planets, that's the sun, and all this. So that comes down then to my, say, past learning. I learned things. I gave everything a name. Like the other day we were talking about symbols. Like I symbolize literally everything. Every little aspect of this has a reference. And you have to know the right name. Like we speak in different languages even. Some of us speak French, and another one Maori, and another one Dutch, and another one English. It's like even that, you have to know the right symbols in order to communicate. That is the world as we know it, like we grew up with that kind of world. But it is also a world that is so temporal that you could say, like, whatever you perceive is already over. Like one lesson 7 says, like, I see only the past. What I see is not even there any longer, even though I assume it there. I use the capacity of my mind to delude me to really think that there's a world here with objects, with languages, with all this stuff. And so our coming together here is to put a question mark behind that. It's like, is this really real? No, it's not. We actually say, like, no, it's not. So in today's lesson, for instance, what you see is like, we're not here to negate the world, to completely deny the world. No. So that's what we have been doing in our religious, coming together in the past centuries. It's like we had a place isolated from the world, completely ignoring the world as we still assumed it to be our reality, but thinking that I need to be in contact with God, and I need to say, cross out the world and leave it for what it is. That's not what is asked, is what it says in this lesson. Like, it's not what is asked. So there's another way of dealing with this. Like, if you would just only ignore this world, or cross it out, so to speak, you would become depressed, as it says. Like, you would become depressed, because then what you have, like, what do you have then? If this, what you appear as, what appears to be as everything, and you're going to deny it. So what is left for you then? A whole empty place, and nothing else. So that cannot be it. So then the next step is then to discover what is really there. And that has nothing to do with my past ideas, with my ideas about how I have learned things. Well, you know this. We have been talking about this a lot, but it's good to realize it, because then everything else starts to make sense. So, in fact, you could say we're moving through a transition from perception, which is what we see, which is what we feel and use our senses for, moving from that to a whole different state, which is knowledge. It's like plain knowing, plain in the sense of unchangeable knowing. And I don't know if you have catched glimpses of it, but a state of knowing is a state in which you just know. It's like you just know. It is a deep sense of peace in which you know. And there's no doubt about that at all. You don't question any of it. Like, it is just what it is, and that is it. And not in the way as you know things here, like know things with your intellect. So it's a state of being that doesn't question, and that knows, that really knows. Maybe we'll just start reading the lesson. That might be a good idea. Because I was starting with the shift from perception to knowledge. But the actual lesson of today is a real beautiful illustration of that. So I might as well use that too. So I will come back to chapter 13 in a moment. So yesterday's lesson was then this one. The world I see has nothing that I want. The world you see has nothing that you need to offer you, nothing that you can use in any way, nor anything at all that serves to give you joy. Wow. Believe this thought and you are saved from years of misery, from countless disappointments, and from hopes that turn to bitter ashes of despair. No one but must accept this thought as true if he would leave this world behind and soar beyond its petty scope and little ways. So that was yesterday. So that's great. 129. Here's the next. So that was quite a start too. The first paragraph was quite amazing. Now 129. Beyond this world, there is a world I want. Like if this world, as we know it, isn't it, you want a world beyond this world. You want something different than this world of limitation, disease, attack, and all that. This is the thought which follows from the one we practiced yesterday. You cannot stop with the idea the world is worthless. For unless you see that there's something else to hope for, you will only be depressed. Our emphasis is not on giving up the world, but on exchanging it for what is far more satisfying, filled with joy, and capable of offering you peace. Think you this world can offer that to you? Our emphasis is not on giving up the world, but exchanging it for what is far more satisfying, filled with joy, and capable of offering you peace. Think you this world can offer that to you? Okay, well, let's take a look at this world for just a moment. It might be worth a little time to think once more about the value of this world. Perhaps you will concede there is no loss in letting go all thought of value here. The world you see is merciless indeed, unstable, cruel, unconcerned with you, quick to avenge, and pitiless with hate. It gives but to rescind, and takes away all things that you have cherished for a while. No lasting love is found, for none is here. This is the world of time, where all things end. All right, so that's a picture. The world you see is merciless, indeed, unstable, cruel, unconcerned with you, quick to avenge, and pitiless with hate. Yeah? I could ask, like, can I get an agreement on that? Are you, yeah? Are you agreeing with this? Is this the way that you perceive the world and discovered it to be? So here it continues. Is it a loss to find a world instead where losing is impossible, where love endures forever, hate cannot exist, and vengeance has no meaning? Is it a loss to find all things you really want and know they have no ending, and they will remain exactly as you want them throughout time? Yet even they will be exchanged at last for what we cannot speak of. For you go from there to where words fail entirely, into a silence where the language is unspoken yet surely understood. So here's a different image then. Like, even though it's also a temporal one, it is a temporal one. It's like, this is the world that you enter into when you let go of this and allow this world to be replaced with your, say, your inner world, with your new inner experience of yourself that has nothing to do with your ideas about this world. So then you see that place that you discover more and more and more and comes into your consciousness more often and more and deeply is still a temporary place. But it is like a preparation, you could say. It's like a preparation to allow you to go beyond that, to something that we cannot speak of, is what it says here. It's like you get really curious, like, well, okay, so wow, what can that be? I wanna be there. So with our adventurous minds, we are discovering. So this is only an in-between phase that we go through. You could call it a borderland or a happy dream or whatever. It's like we know the world. We are sick and tired of our ideas about it. We have so enough of all the characteristics of it that we ask the question, like, in fact said this, like, there must be something else. Something beyond this. There must be more than this. This cannot be it. Well, this is the world that we speak of. Like this cannot be it. This is not fulfilling. This is not how I know myself to be. I find myself in a place I don't understand. This is you as a human being. Like, you really find yourself in a place that you do not understand. You have no idea how to relate to it. And you tried your ways in dealing with it, but it did not really work out. Like, you really don't know how to deal with it. So then here in our practice, we come to the place where we actually, start to relax deeply into a stillness that is not of this world, or a timelessness for just moments, a timelessness that literally lifts us out of the world as we know it. And this is the practice that we do right now. So we're not concerned about what is the next phase after this then. No, for now we stay right here. It's like, beyond this world is a world I want. So how can it be that I can be in this world but not of it, and stay in my remembrance of the world that I want to perceive, like my inner world, my connectedness, my timelessness? Like, how can I do that? And so here you see, in fact, all the keys to it are already given. All the keys are given because it says it has to do with your value system. You value something in this world, well, there you have it. You you receive, in fact, all the consequences related to it. And now I'll come back to this, because it's like, it is also not about, you could say, like, it's also not about, in fact, drying up all your desires or all your enjoyments, or like making it really difficult for yourself just by limiting yourself. That's not what is asked either. And you would love to do that if that had the effect. It's like a renunciation. Like, if you could leave it all behind, it's like cross it all out. You would love to do that. If that had an immediate effect of you coming into heaven, you would go through the sacrifice of it at once and have it over, having it over with, getting it over with. You know, If that would be possible, you would do that. But here we talk about like a fundamental change that is occurring, you transforming into this whole new, brand new mind, if you want, this brand new you, on a continuing basis. So it's not making once the decision and having it all turned over. No, this is continuously the invitation. That's why the changes, it's always like temporal. It appears to be temporal. You make this decision for, say, the other world, so to speak, all the time. Because on the other hand, there appears to be a world that still is there and presenting itself continuously, or confusing yourself continuously with that you think you have to do something with it. So it's like for you to stay with yourself in your certainty, in your recognition, is a continual action of mind that you do. Otherwise it would be easy. You would just turn the switch and it was like that. It's like, no, it comes back, but it comes back in a different way. So parts are healed. It's like certain parts are healed, then other parts are healed. More and more you come into the place where you recognize this has no exceptions. I'm able to stay connected, to stay aware of my connection with everything that is. This is about communication. Communication, unambiguous and plain as day, remains unlimited for all eternity. And God himself speaks to his Son as his Son speaks to him. Their language has no words, for what they say cannot be symbolized. Their knowledge is direct and wholly shared and wholly one. How far away from this are you who stay bound to this world? And yet how near are you when you exchange it for the world you want? Now is the last step certain. Now you stand an instant space away from timelessness. Here you can but look forward, never back to see again the world you do not want. Here, gotta do it like this. Here is the world that comes to take its place as you unbind your mind from little things the world sets forth to keep you prisoner here, there. Value them not and they will disappear. Esteem them and they will seem real to you. Such is the choice. What loss can be for you in choosing not to value nothingness? That's a nice double negative. What loss can be for you in choosing not to value nothingness? This world holds nothing that you really want, but what you choose instead you want indeed. Let it be given to you today. It awaits, but for your choosing it to take place of all things you seek but do not want. So such is the choice, and this is a continuing choice, like you always come back to this. Such is the choice. What loss can be for you in choosing not to value nothingness? This world holds nothing that you really want, but what you choose instead, you want indeed. Let it be given you today. It waits but for your choosing it to take the place of all the things you seek, but do not want. Practice your willingness to make this change 10 minutes in the morning and at night, and once more in between. Begin with this, Beyond this world is a world I want. I choose to see that world instead of this, for here is nothing that I really want. Then close your eyes upon the world you see, and in the silent darkness watch the lights that are not of this world, light one by one, until where one begins, another ends, loses all meaning as they blend into one. Today the lights of heaven bend to you, to shine upon your eyelids as you rest beyond the world of darkness. Here is light your eyes cannot behold, and yet your mind can see it plainly and can understand. A day of grace is given you today, and we give thanks. So today the lights of heaven bend to you, to shine upon your eyelids as you rest beyond the world of darkness. Here is light your eyes cannot behold, and yet your mind can see it plainly and can understand. A day of grace is given you today, and we give thanks. So just for a moment, let's go there. Close your eyelids, close your eyes, and let the lights of heaven bend to you to shine upon your eyelids. Your mind can see this light plainly and can understand it. A day of grace is given you today, and we give thanks. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So you see that this is then the choice you have during your day to become still, close your eyes, and just open up for the light to come into your awareness. So that's a continuous choice. So what disturbs it is anything that you value, that you perceive and that you value. That can have any kind of form too, of course. So you being aware that you have a choice is everything, and that you can choose to remember this. Communication is really where you are saved, in that sense, where you keep track or keep communication with the beyond this world, with your timelessness, if you want. So that's so great in this lesson, how that's being shown, like in the 3 lessons that are actually coming. The 3 lessons that we're actually doing, like 128, 129 and 130. You'll see tomorrow. I'm not going to spill anything yet. But it's like that is such a beautiful sequence, because that's really what we do. It's like you go through episodes and you might recognize that for yourself too. It's like suddenly you find yourself here. Then maybe the next day you are here, you are present here. You actually realize that you're present here. Then the day after that, you just discover yourself to be leaving again, like coming into a release of this world. And that seems to be a rhythm that comes back, at least to me. Like it comes back all the time. Coming here, being here, leaving here. So that's some kind of rhythm. So you might recognize it. But anyway, so you can use it. In that sense, you can use it to come to the, to come into the decision of leaving. Leaving is then leaving your value system for what it is and choosing your own reality instead. That is so beautiful. All right, so I still have a tendency now to go to chapter 13, so that's why I keep doing that. That's why the role of healing. But here it starts, and I spent some videos on this already, so I'm not going to go too deep in it. There's one that is called, one video says, "No one in the world knows." So this is really interesting. Like, all therapy is released from the past, and that is why the Holy Spirit is the only therapist. He teaches that the past does not exist, a fact which belongs to the sphere of knowledge, and which therefore no one in the world knows. It would indeed be impossible to be in the world with this knowledge. So the past does not exist. So why this idea of past coming to us in the considerations today? It's like, well, that was exactly what I was sharing in the beginning. It's like everything that you value here is based on past ideas. Otherwise, it would be nothing. It would be meaningless to you. It has meaning because you placed meaning upon it. Otherwise, it would have no meaning, and it would just not be there in that sense. It would not be visible to you. And this comes to. I'll stop right here. So this is also very interesting to see, because you say like, well, I think I forgave everyone just about. I did my exercises. I went through my steps, and I forgive about everyone. And then the next thing is, it's like, okay, so what are you perceiving? What do you think that you are perceiving? What is it that you think that you see with your eyes? And why do you think that you see it? Like, what is the reason for this perception as you know it? And this is like really a key question. Like, why do you see the things that you see? There's a reason for it, and that is so great if you discover that, because it is like that what you see, like, can you see, this is another question, can you see something that you don't value? You can't. You cannot see something that you don't value. And value has a range from totally hating to totally loving. It's like either way, it doesn't matter. It's all the same stuff, the same value system. It's a value system based on past learning. That's what is the same about it. So what am I perceiving? I'm actually perceiving my value system. So in that sense, my judgment is what I perceive. What I value, I perceive. Otherwise, it would not be there. I would not see it. You say like, well, I don't like what I'm seeing. It's like, well, you value it. You literally value it. Otherwise, you would not be seeing it. It would just dissolve. It would not be there for you to see. And this is interesting. Like, here's also the key to get out of it, because you see that your forgiveness, you could say, has to be total, like including every aspect of what you perceive, in order to be complete. And so here's where you transition, if you want, you transition into knowledge. Because literally, like, if you are aware that all your perception is a judgment upon yourself, like a valuing, giving value to something, and if you wouldn't do that, it would disappear. Like, literally, you would leave this world. And leaving this world sounds like dying or whatever. That's not what I mean, but more like it would just not be visible for you to see. Now, we learn this step by step, so that's the great thing. But so if you think that your forgiveness is complete, you would literally disappear into light. All right. So don't hurt yourself with the idea. Don't attack yourself with the idea. Well, it isn't total. It isn't total. So no worries. No worries. It's okay. No, it's okay. So we're in therapy with the Holy Spirit. He's our therapist. He will help us see that the past is gone. Okay, so going through this, the role of healing. Perfect perception, then, as we know it from like the real world, has many elements in common with knowledge, making transfer to it possible. Yet the last step must be taken by God, because the last step in your redemption, which seems to be in the future, was accomplished by God in your creation. The separation has not interrupted it. Creation cannot be interrupted. The separation is merely a faulty formulation of reality with no effect at all. The miracle without a function in heaven is needful here. Aspects of reality can still be seen, and they will replace aspects of unreality. Aspects of reality can be seen in everything and everywhere, yet only God can gather them together by crowning them as one with the final gift of eternity. Wow. Apart from the Father and the Son, the Holy Spirit has no function. He is not separate from either, being in the mind of both and knowing that mind is one. He is a thought of God, and God has given him to you because he has no thoughts he does not share. His message speaks of timelessness in time, and that is why Christ's vision looks on everything with love. Yet even Christ's vision is not his reality. The golden aspects of reality, which spring to light under his loving gaze, are partial glimpses of the heaven that lies beyond them. This is the miracle of creation, that it is one forever. Every miracle you offer to the Son of God is but the true perception of one aspect of the whole. Every miracle you offer to the Son of God is but the true perception of one aspect of the whole. So, what does this actually say? You could ask. Like, what does this actually say? So here it probably is becoming more clear. So at 13a2, the very real difference between perception and knowledge becomes quite apparent if you consider this. There's nothing partial about knowledge. Every aspect is whole, and therefore no aspect is separate. You are an aspect of knowledge, being in the mind of God who knows you. All knowledge must be yours, for in you is all knowledge. Perception, at its loftiest, is never complete. Even the perception of the Holy Spirit, as perfect as perception can be, is without meaning in heaven. Perception can reach everywhere under his guidance, for the provision of Christ beholds everything in light. But no perception, however holy, will last forever. So here we are again. Like, okay, so what does this actually say? See, it is great because the part that you can understand is the undoing of a past learning, you know, that you can understand. So all the attributes of perception and the change in them, you can understand that. It's like, yeah, of course, now I get it. See, the total mystical part in all of this, then, you could say, like the total part that you cannot comprehend whatsoever, is the part that is real. And that's a very interesting phenomena, because it is literally like your intellect goes as far as the denial of this truth, right? So your intellect and your understanding goes as far as that. Everything that's related to perception, you're an expert at it, like a total expert, and that's why you assumed it as your world. But now, where we're entering into, where we do a lesson 4, is this place, this temporary place, like an in-between borderland place, where you already catch glimpses of something that lies beyond, that is indescribable, all-encompassing, totally loving, unchangeable, unchanging. You know, all these aspects it holds, but we don't know what it is. To a human mind or an intellectual mind, changelessness would be boring. Like we go for the change. We need change. Otherwise, like, yeah, you don't want to be here. So you need always change in order for it to be acceptable for you here. Now here is something presented, a changelessness and certainty and comfort and peace and totality that has no exceptions whatsoever. You're being offered that, and you literally miss it, that you can imagine it. You cannot project yourself into that. You cannot use your skills of projection, like as perception. You cannot use your skills of projection to go into heaven. You can have an image of heaven, but that will not be your experience. You can have an idea about knowledge, but that's not the same as the experience of knowledge. So this is where the difficulty comes in the sense of acceptance, because it goes beyond your perception and beyond your understanding. And so allowing yourself to cross over, so to speak, into a different experience of yourself by closing your eyes and cancelling out your perception and even your intellect in the meditation or in the silent, quiet times that you do. Like you cancel out your intellect, you try to calm it down. You close your eyes, you cancel out your perception. Like, okay, that's not the value system I'm going for right now. I really need to come to myself to have an experience there. So this is what we do. You come to that. Something is going to be revealed there, slowly but certainly. Like it's going to be revealed to you, or suddenly, and that will turn everything upside down, because it has nothing to do with your thought system as you knew it, or your perception scheme as you knew it. That is so amazing. But see, the fact that you cannot comprehend and that you cannot see it makes it like you still have your doubts about it. You still value something here in order, because you're not sure what you're going to get. Well, in this lesson it says, take time. Like, would it be a big sacrifice to not value something that has no meaning? Like, no, of course not. Reasonably, no, of course not. Practically, you're going to see. You're literally going to see. Yeah. So, in fact, you encounter all the laws you make up of your value system, your social laws. Like, no, I cannot be quiet in the car. I'm sitting next to this person. I need to make up a conversation. I gotta behave a bit in order. Well, is that really true? Do you really think you need to do that? Or Are you allowing yourself to come to your inner experience, even though you're in a social environment, letting this world just be, not negating it, not isolating yourself, no being completely in it, but choosing your own experience of something that lies beyond it and has no relationship with it. So that is the choices that come up and start to come up more and more and more. It's like choose your own experience, go for your own reality as you start to discover it. It's always legitimate. You don't have to ask permission from anyone to do so. So unless you put your value outside of you, then, or authority, put your authority outside of you, thinking that you cannot do that because somebody is telling you, no, you're not allowed to do that right now, right here. You cannot do that. It's like, so I only because I value it, the authority outside myself, that becomes an occurrence. So this goes like continuously. You discover in different fields the voices in your head, like the authorities in your head. It can be your mother-in-law, it can be the president, or it can be the dictator, or it can be your partner, or it can be your manager. It's like all this is based on a social law that you appear to be functioning in. While if you did not value it, it would disappear. And that literally happened to me. It's like, if I don't value it any longer, it literally disappears. So the voice of the manager becomes silent and suddenly is gone. That is what happened. It's like that was one of the occurrences in my awakening that happened. It's like that becomes all quiet, and you really think that you're missing out on something, or that you have to take care of yourself in order to save something for yourself. No, only if you value that the way that you did, and take your perception as a fact, as a law, as an unchangeable law that you're a victim of. It's like you cannot do these things any longer while you're at lesson 129. You cannot do these things any longer. You're going to experiment, so to speak, with your freedom that you have discovered. Like there's a freedom that goes beyond all these laws that you made up. And this is where you are at home. So you will find that. There's an inner calling for that, for sure. Absolutely. So that's so lovely about these lessons. So they bring you there, step by step. All right, so thank you so much for your attention and for your practicing here with me. That's really great. Thank you so much.